bad. Apparently, I have Alzheimer's. Um, Stranger Things. Before we get into that, TPC 133, July 9th, 2020, 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time. To anyone listening, this podcast is available on Spotify, BitChute, DTube, VEOH, and soon Vimeo. And all those links will be in the description and sticky in the top comment because YouTube censors, so I would need to decentralize it. David Libby. And, well, we were going to have Greg, but Greg bailed on us. And
yeah, we're trying to reschedule that. I even my brother called too, and I was hoping he'd be available to jump in and on this, but he moved into the state. He's only been here about 3 weeks.
I hate it.
Here's what he told me on the phone, right? You ready? He's always got something, right? Always got something.
I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
Yeah. Here's his excuse now. I can't find my computer. So his computer is buried somewhere in boxes.
I don't even believe that.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to – I'm like, I thought we lived in a day and age now that the first thing you unpack is the computer.
Computer.
But apparently not.
Phone charger.
Right.
Yeah, you know what? Dan, if you're listening, I don't mind if you don't want to do it, but don't take me for an idiot. Don't tell me you can't find it. Give me a little respect. Just look me in the eyes and say, I don't want to do it, or I'm doing something else. Don't lie to me, Dan. I'm disappointed in you.
Well, I'll keep the pressure on him. Good.
Let him know what's up. So we were just talking before this about coronavirus and you as a public school teacher. I didn't think about that. Yeah, I've been seeing more in the news just kind of floating around the periphery school because it is July. I'm forgetting about that. It is July. It's, in the South at least, school starts in August. In New England, for what I remember, high school and middle school started in September. But it's right around the corner.
Right.
I didn't realize that. It's just quarantine's been so long. It's just kind of all
it jumbled together.
Yeah, and it just
seems like I've had a really long summer break since I've been not physically in school since the end of March.
Yeah. I've been in this room just I've been walking a mile in my neighborhood and then doing podcasts in this room every day since March. It's going to start snowing before you know it, dude. Whatever. I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm going to come out on top of this. Coronavirus sucks. I'm going to come out on top of this. But public school teacher, and you were just saying beforehand that it's getting a little crazy. And why exactly? What is the craziness?
Down here in the South, schools do start earlier. They start before Labor Day. In my case, I have about 4 to 5 days of teacher in service here at the end of July. So that's no students. We're in there getting our training, whatever that is, getting our room set up. And students are scheduled to come back to class August 3rd.
Okay.
So that's essentially the first Monday in August. That's earlier. I know the northern schools and whatnot, they usually start after Labor Day. Yeah. So sometime in September, right? Well, so about 3 weeks ago, my buddy that works across the hall from me, he sends me a text. Hey, David, pray for me. I'm going nuts here. My anxiety level's high, all this stuff. And I'm going, this was 3 weeks ago. And I go, dude, you got to tell me what I'm supposed to be praying for here because I have no idea what you're talking about. And here's what he said. And now this pissed me off. He happened to look on our school district's Facebook page, which I have never checked in the 3 years I've been working there. I have no reason to check a school district's Facebook. I could care less. I really could. He checked it, and that's where he was first informed about what we might have to do as teachers when students come back into our classroom. So I'm like, okay, as soon as I got done with him, I got on Facebook. I finally found it. Sure enough, here's a post on our school district's website about the 4 phases of what's going to happen, what's supposed to take place in those 4 phases. And then I read all the comments because there wasn't many. It was just freshly posted, so there wasn't many, but I read through all the comments, and I don't know if it was a teacher or a parent or somebody. They asked this question. So what phase are we in right now? And there was no response. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. They can fire me. I'll be happy to stay home and, out of my bunker and do podcasts like Tommy does or something, try to make a living that way.
Woo.
So I go ahead and write. I said, another person already asked this question, but I would like to know also, what phase are we in? I got a response through Facebook. Now, keep in mind, we have not been called by our administrators to have a meeting about this. We have not received emails prior to this. We have not received phone calls, no faxes. Nobody gets faxes anymore. But my point is, we have all this technology, and the first we're hearing about what we might have to do before we go back is on a Facebook post from the district.
That you didn't even, wasn't even sent to y'all though. It'd be one thing if that's the medium they use, like, all right, whatever, times are changing. But you didn't even know that.
No. So I got a response back. I don't know who responded. I don't know who's in charge of that website, but here's what they said. We're in phase 3. Now, phase 4 means you're back full-time, business as usual, no social distancing, no mask wearing. We're in phase 3. And what's interesting, in the county where I work, cases have been doubling week after week.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that this virus thing is almost a day-by-day situation, yet we're doubling cases where I go to work, and I'm going to have to go into the classroom in an enclosed space with potentially 120 students throughout the day coming in and out of the classroom and confined to that area. But I'm still upset that the first time I heard about this was from my buddy, first of all, who saw it on Facebook for the first time. And here's what I think is happening. We just got a text the other day through our teacher app on our phones, and it kind of explains a modified schedule. So freshmen, for example, are going to come into the high school half day on the first day, so they get to meet all their teachers, get used to their how they rotate, during passing periods, things like that. And we have to teach them whatever our administrators say we have to teach them about face mask wearing and how to walk and how to talk and how to. So I guess they're going to spring all this training on us the week we go back for teacher in service. And who knows what it's going to be like at this point.
You need to get those, like, well, first of all, that reminds me of, you're read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I haven't read it, but I know a little bit about
it. I mean, I've listened to it. I don't know how to read it. I can't read or count. Yeah, it's a tragedy. But kidding. It's okay. Well, never mind. If you haven't read it, it doesn't matter. For anyone listening, that kind of makes me think of where they go find the plans for the intergalactic highway, and it's going right through Earth, and they have to bulldoze Earth, and it's. Why didn't you tell us? Well, it's been at your local post office for 3 weeks. That's what makes me think. It's like, but you didn't tell us. Like, it's been there. Like, yeah, just some bullshit. The other thing I was thinking is, those they'll use them in, like, I guess, like biohazard labs or maybe even nuclear labs. They got that thick glass with, like, the astronaut arms.
That's right.
You need to get one of those boxes and just sit at the front of your room, and that's how you teach.
I've got 6 or 7 N95 masks that I sectioned off, one for each day, and I'll rotate those through and use them until they fall apart, because you can't even buy N95s anymore.
You can get a hazmat suit.
Well, if I got cuts on my hands, I'll wear rubber gloves so it doesn't, get through that way. And what was interesting about back at the beginning of June, our principal sent out, hey, does anybody want to volunteer to maybe teach 2 weeks of summer school? So I was one of the first ones to respond back. I wanted to do something. I wasn't doing anything anyways, and I wanted to get a feel of what it might be like going back to a public school setting in the midst of this coronavirus. Now, I only had 7 students for 2.5 hours. That was kind of my time block there. No, 3 hours. So a 3-hour time block, 7 students. I had them spaced out. They gave me a larger classroom, larger than my personal classroom. And so it really wasn't that big of a deal. I was even far enough away that I could take my mask off if I wanted to. And I thought, okay, this may not be so bad, but the CDC had posted around the same time frame, okay, your students need to be 6 feet apart from each other. This is their recommended guidelines, mind you. Recommended guidelines, which is scary because the school districts are going to go, now wait a minute. I've got about 30 to 32 desks in my classroom. I happen to be in one of the smaller classrooms in the building. Before I left summer school that day, I got done with one session. I went to my classroom. I got my yardsticks out. I measured 6 feet, so 2 full yardsticks all the way around. Out of 32 desks, I was only able to set up 12. All the rest of the desks are piled up against the back wall. My other furniture in the classroom, all against the wall. I've got plenty of space to walk down an aisle, but how am I going to get 30 students or 32, depending on the class size, into that based on those guidelines? So, the school district's not going to follow it.
Yeah.
They're going to say, it's guidelines. It's kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Yeah.
Oh, stick to the code. No, it's more like guidelines.
Yeah. It's suggestions.
Right. And
yeah,
so
man.
They're probably going to narrow it down maybe to 3. Maybe to 3. I might be able to get closer to 30 desks set up that way if they cut it down to 3 feet. That's 1 yardstick.
I wonder if the move is to just go out and live normally, get coronavirus, not intentionally, but if and when it happens, it happens.
Right.
You survive, and then you just get to live your life as normal, or it's curtains, and it was an inevitability. I'm kind of leaning towards that more. Like, it's just, and obviously it's, you can't, it's not as solo as that. It's if you get it and then you're contagious, well, now you're involuntarily bringing down other people. Okay, I get that. But just from a simplified point of view, because this is not a medical podcast, this is just shooting the shit. Do you just go out and get it and just, hey, I survived? Or is it like, yeah, man, it's like you get a piece of mail and it's from the school you applied to, or it's from the government or whatever.
That's right.
Just open it. Am I going to jail? Am I getting audited? Or is it just, here's, hey, your local basketball league's doing this. Oh, okay. Just open it. Is that the move? Do you just get it?
Hey,
just get it over with?
It's not anthrax, I guess.
So. Yeah, man. That's kind of how I'm just like, do I just get it? Have a cough, maybe die. Maybe that's it.
That's not the way I'm thinking. I don't want it.
I don't think sane people think like that.
I know, but people do, and it drives me nuts. I kind of understand, I think, where they're coming from with that, but here's what's going to happen. So, again, teachers are going to go back to school, and every student a teacher is going to be exposed to, and all the other students are going to be exposed to every student. But you're also going to be exposed to all of the people they've potentially been exposed to, and they're going to bring that in. And that's that power, unfortunately, the power of exponential growth. How do there's no way to control that. There's
what COVID's done better than any school program has ever done?
What's that?
It's taught the significance of safe sex and STD transfers.
Dude, you can't get
them. It's everyone they've been with. It has educated the populace better than 12 years of Catholic school did for me. COVID. Remember, it's not just as he is sick. How many people has he seen? Bam. None of the nuns, Sister Lorraine, Father Lopez, none of them could ever teach you that. COVID, take a bow.
Man, there's not a prophylactic large enough to cover your head. Excuse the pun.
Yeah.
To protect yourself from COVID, man.
Yeah.
There's just no way.
Dude, I just went to the store and people didn't even have masks on anymore. They had riot shields.
Yeah. Well, down here in the South, and again, because it hasn't hit the way it's hit in other major populous centers, people are like, they think it's done. So you hardly ever see a mask now in the stores. They're taking it for granted, and yet cases are on the rise. My wife and I have been tracking them in our county, the other county where I work, some of the surrounding counties, and we've been tracking them from week to week, and it is still going up. There's a guy maybe I mentioned before, Chris Martinson with Peak Prosperity. He's been doing a podcast since January, and he's the one that we've kind of followed for a long time, and everything he said basically first, and a month or two later, now the government's finally saying it. I mean, he's been on top of this stuff since the get-go. And he the way he describes it is, you'll see one case here, one case there, one case here. Then what'll happen, because it spreads so viciously, you'll get clusters of cases. So you'll go case, cluster, 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 and then before that, boom, it'll explode. And that's just wait until the schools go back. Now, I'm trying to wrestle with, I'm going to be selfish here. You know what? This is your podcast. I'm going to be selfish. I have no desire to go back to the public sector and teach. I have zero desire to do that. I'm finding it difficult as the days approach for me to wake up in the morning thinking, man, I can't wait to go back to work after being off. And it's not because I've been off. It's because a lot of what the literature has been saying from the Department of Education, from the administrators, is the safety of our students first, the safety of our students first, the safety of our students first. I get that, but as far as staff and teachers and janitors and cooks and bus drivers, that has been really low priority as far as the chain of events that's supposed to happen. Yeah. And I tell you what, and some false media out there, maybe you've heard this and talking to some of your other friends on the podcast, a lot of what I think is a false narrative is professionals are saying that kids can't transmit the disease. I've been hearing a lot of that from.
For the record, for anyone listening to this, neither David nor I are medical doctors. We do not have medical degrees. This is just bantering. I know that, and I know the vast majority of people are smart enough to know that. But there are people out there that they hear one word from one person. They're like, well, he said it's not, and it's just like, hey, dude, we, Well, yeah. So the real literature, if you do your research, look for primary sources. Don't look for this junk that's out there. They're going to tell you that, yes, even if kids, teenagers, young kids, even if they're asymptomatic where they're not showing signs, they can still transmit the virus. Yeah, I don't know of any virus that's selective.
Yeah, and if I use their argument about it, they say, even though it's not true, it's like the flu. Well, hello, kids transmit the flu all the time to adults. Yeah. So I do not feel protected as a teacher getting ready to go back into the classroom system in the public school sector. I'd rather see money diverted and just go online, and parents just have to learn how to be parents again and learn how to teach and learn that they need to train their kids because they're the best equipped to do that. Training their kids. Why give it to a stranger? Why? Yeah. Have you ever thought about that, Tommy? I mean, you went to public school, right? I went to public school.
I went to private Catholic school. I was very
private Catholic school, right?
I have very good parents. I do not have the normal experience. I had a absolutely wonderful upbringing.
Well, I
can't complain. I grew up in the land of. I grew up in a Norman Rockwell painting, so it's nice. I cannot complain.
You and your white privilege. Nice.
Oh, you white people. But dude, if everyone gets it doesn't matter how well we, and again, not as a medical professional, Your Honor, just for whenever this but it doesn't matter how well we suppress it and keep it at bay. If all it ever takes is one person to get it and then it starts again, it seems like it's only an eventuality that it tears through society. So what are we, is it just going to happen anyway? Or are we going to wait till there's a vaccine and then, it could be something like polio or smallpox where it really does. No one has it anymore. Not across the globe. No one has it. But if it's not that, then what are we just kicking it down the road? We're just kicking it down the road forever?
Yeah.
Because what is pros and cons? What is the legitimate? I mean, I called, so next Thursday, a week from today, is the 75th anniversary of the atomic bomb in the first one ever, Trinity, in Alamogordo, New Mexico.
Been there. I've stood at ground zero, man.
So I'm having someone on from Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory next Thursday, and I might be able to get someone on from Los Alamos National Laboratory.
Nice.
But even calling those places and going to the public relations office, I mean, all the messages are just like, we are, working at 10% capacity since, March 15th. And it's just like, how much are we just retarding scientific growth and progress? How much are we retarding research? So it's not just economic growth, but everything. At what point, and you got to just go brutal. You got to, you're comparing people and property. I am. It's not good to drop a nuke on a city of people. But
Right.
when you're weighing 1 million U.S. deaths or casualties, someone's got to do that arithmetic. You got to have some courtesy, LeMay, just cold,
right.
detached calculation.
That's right.
And this is someone with my grandparents. All my grandparents are passed away. I have no old people in my family, so yes, I can selfishly say this. But at what point do we hold the virus versus literally human growth and progress and evolution? I mean, not just the economy, but national laboratories. I mean, at what point are we halting? I don't know if you ever saw Letters from Iwo Jima. It's a movie that came out in like 2007, I think.
No, that's on one of my wartime movie lists. I need to watch.
Yeah, I only saw it once. I saw it in theaters when it came out. But one scene I remember is it's all these like aircraft carriers and destroyers and troop transports all going to Iwo Jima, and it's just this massive U.S. convoy, and they're all cheering as like P-51s are going by, and they're all getting ready to go storm this beach, and they're building. It's not the actual landing, but it's like the build up, the invasion.
Right.
I mean, they're all a lot of them are going to die, but it's just the Americans cheering, and the P-51s are going by. They're all psyching each other up, and they're all leaning over the sides, and one guy slips and he falls, like 10 stories into the ocean, and he pops back up and he's screaming, and all the buddies are like, yeah, and they're like, and they realize, but they just keep going, and they're watching him. They're like, wait, what about him? And one of the higher ups goes, we're not, we can't turn around. And they're like, what do you mean? And he goes, and then you look back, but you just see miles of ships, and you realize this is bigger than that one guy. This is for the invasion of Iwo Jima.
Right.
This, and it was Okinawa before or after, and then the mainland. Like, we're getting ready to end the Second World War.
Right.
That guy fell over. Sorry. And you kind of see them all. They get the sobering, like, oh, we're not stopping.
Yeah.
At what point do you take this thing, a terrible thing, 120,000 Americans dead? I get it. At what point are we stopping the lugging along of the aircraft carrier train that is just human evolution that's been going on since the wheel? At what point are we? And what is the value of it? And yeah, I know this sounds horrible, but these are the conversations that go on during war that aren't publicized. But at what point someone has to do the math? No one wants to. Women and children first. We only got this many lifeboats. Someone has to do the math. You're gonna hate them, and you're fuck that guy, but someone has to do it. I'm not that person to do it, but because of my podcast, I can. What is the value? What's going on? How many people are out of work? How many? I mean,
it almost sounds like
down. Sports, religious institutions, concerts. At what point does the entire thing grind to a halt?
Yeah.
Kids going to public schools. At what point does this whole thing grind to a halt for this? Okay, I get it. Traffic stopping so the old lady can cross the road. Are we going to stop the 8-lane highway for a year? None of those people can go to medical school and learn. None of these investors can go to Wall Street and keep the market chugging along. At what point do you run over the lady? Brutal. I know. I get it. Feel free to hate me. It
sounds like battlefield triage, quite honestly.
I don't know what
the guy's not going to make it. You don't waste your time and energy because this other guy can make it.
Yeah.
You got to move on. You let him die. You move on. I hear what you're saying. It's President Trump just had a live summit. They called it education summit. And this was, let's see, it might've been Monday or Tuesday of this week. And our Department of Education commissioner, she was part of that. I got to hear her remarks, got to read her remarks. I listened to most of that particular broadcast. And one of the reasons government officials from Trump on down, at least from the federal government, is stating why it's so important to get the schools back up and running. One, without saying the words, if children in households don't go back to public schools, parents can't all go back to work. So the public school system is essentially the largest daycare system in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So we're there, yes, to educate. Yes, we know we do more than educate. We try to work on their characters, right? To try to help develop them, not just academically, but even socially, so they can be productive citizens in our country. And there's a value there. If you have a stupid population, an uneducated population, I don't see how our nation's going to progress. Like you're talking about, you're going to have to kick them out or just use them as cannon fodder, supposedly, right? But the other thing is for their mental well-being. And I thought, so they had some pediatric doctors as part of this summit that were, stating whatever medical opinion, whatever medical research that in order for children to have solid mental stability, they need to be in the public school setting. They need to go back to school and be around other people, children of their age, adults. And, there's a part of me that I understand that, Tommy. Another part, I think why can't the parents do that for them at home? Yeah. Again, I don't understand parents thinking that I'm a complete stranger. Even your parents that sent you off to Catholic private school, I doubt that they really knew who each and every one of your teachers were as a person.
My parents were very involved.
Wow.
I cannot complain. I cannot complain. I had wonderful. But the thing is with all of this going on, absolutely none of it matters. Mm-hmm. And no one bats a fucking eye at 10 million people protesting. And this isn't I'm not scoffing at, I get the protest. I understand the reason for it. But if that is a justifiable reason to advance civil rights, as it should be, I don't think that is any more or less important than the well-being of 346 million Americans.
Yeah.
One, you cannot, all of you protest, brilliant. Everyone else, don't you dare go to school. Don't you dare go to church. Don't you dare go to the grocery. Which one is it? And I'm not for, or I'm just choose one, because you cannot have both. You cannot, everyone, women and children first. But if you want to jump on the lifeboats, go for it. It's like, well, what is the whole? It doesn't matter if there's not an equal, if there's not a uniform, homogenized rule of law. It does not matter. It doesn't matter that I've been in here every day for almost 120 days. None of that matters. If just like that, I can get out and go protest for 2 weeks, then come back. The whole thing is undone. And everyone now is, oh my God, look at these numbers. Coronavirus is spiking. How could we ever? And it's like.
Do you not think the same thing's going to happen once public school starts again?
It is. So what I'm saying is choose one or the other. You can't do it all. You can't, when you're dieting, you can't just diet and work out and exercise and watch your calories every day. But, come Friday, man, we're going to Dairy Queen but then you brush it under the rug and it's like, well, hold on. If you shaved off 500 calories a day from a caloric deficit, but then on one day you went and ate 5,000 calories and then you're jumping right back to it tomorrow, what are you doing? Yeah. I'm saving all this money, but once a week I go out and gamble half of it.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Just do one or do the other. If you're going to gamble it, fine. Don't constrict your lifestyle by having to save everything, and vice versa.
This was unsaid in that summit led by President Trump. I don't know. I'm just thinking. I like when we talk together because we can spin off conspiracy theories if we want to or whatnot. Maybe by sending the kids back to public schools. Maybe that'll help curb some of the rioting that's going on in this country, because essentially what you have is a bunch of, even if you think of teenagers at least, high school age kids, college kids, they're the ones out there, those young kids, a lot of them are the younger folks that are out there doing all the rioting.
Gotta give them
Hey,
something.
let's get them back in school and shove them back in a box. And that will quiet things down in the country. And now we know we're back to normal.
When there's not when there's not a place to go or a thing to do, it's That's how you get going back, it's like the 50s. That's how you get not a strong military upbringing. That's why you got all these guys, the Jets in their short white sleeve shirts with their packs of cigarettes. I don't know if that's really applicable, but you got to have something to do, man. Idle hands do the devil's work.
Yep.
And I hate that saying. I always thought, man, I want to do less work. But, man, in a couple of years after I got into med school and after I lost my brother, I had a couple of years where I decided to do as little as possible because I thought that's what I needed for my mental health. Holy cow. In hindsight, that was the most destructive thing I could have done because there's no such thing as doing nothing. You end up doing something. So whether it's drink more, play more video games, or eat more food, or whether it's work harder to try to get an A in my class, you do something anyway, and I always try to do it to an extreme. So you might as well, but that's just me. I can't apply that to everyone. But yeah, dude, you got to have something to do. Not only that, maybe you got to send everyone back and we see that the world didn't fall.
Right.
Or the sky didn't fall.
Right.
Oh, life my God. Yeah. It's so, if you go outside, you're going to die. And you walk outside and you're like, hey, it's like if you grew up and you're always told like water's flammable. I don't want to go swimming. And then finally one day you're in like your 30s and you're drunk with your buddies and you get pushed off a pier. Oh my God. And then you just like,
stand up.
It's kind of you get up and you're like, huh? That's it.
Yeah,
that was it.
That was it.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm not a medical professional, but I'm not a medical professional. So this is all just my bantering.
Yeah, so I tell you what, that we homestead, that we've been doing that for 3 years now, and we've been preparing for the day that I go back to teaching in the public schools. And so we've, like I said, we've got the mask for each day, and we'll rotate through those. We've designated our master bedroom, since it has the bathroom suite, so to speak, attached to it. My wife is probably going to sleep. She's probably going to sleep in my daughter's bedroom, before I come into the house stripping down naked, man. I'm going to run butt naked out in the wild, and I'm going to throw my clothes in the washing machine right away, come right in, take a shower, and kind of just self-isolate for a little bit, perhaps, and we're going to take the best precautions that we can. We've got some close friends of ours back in New Mexico, and they both have COVID, and they've had it for about 9 or 10 days now. And they both have core morbidities. We're talking obesity, some diabetes, some things like that. And so when we first heard that they got it, and they've been taking as much precautions as we have, they kind of do the homesteading thing as well. So they kind of isolate anyways, yet they have it. And in my mind, I'm thinking at least one of the two, the husband or the wife, I'm not going to say which, the first thing I thought of, this person's dead, because they've got all those core morbidities that have been talked about, since this thing came about. Well, she's been fighting it off. He's been fighting it off. They both have, prior to this, they've both upped their vitamin C count to like 20,000 milligrams a day or something to try to help, boost their immune system to the best of their ability. But here's the one thing that she's been telling my wife, my wife and this wife's been talking. She said, you don't want this. You don't even want to get it. She has gone to, I know the wife she's kind of high energy and stuff. She's a tough woman. You would not, even with these other comorbidities and stuff, she's a tough old bra. She's a good girl, Yeah. But she looks beat up. I mean, just like the bus ran over her forwards and backwards a few times. Yeah. And she just keeps repeating, you don't even want to get it. It is that bad. Yeah. And what's still scary is we don't know what the long-lasting effects are. I know you've probably heard this already. We don't know. There have been people that have got it again after getting it the first time, but we don't know what's going to happen, say, 20 years from now, 40 years from now. We can't know. We can't know because it hasn't been that long yet, right?
Yeah.
Is it like chicken pox? You get chicken pox. My parents exposed me to chicken pox when I was probably 5 or 6 years old, so I would get the chicken pox. That's before they had the vaccination for it, right?
Yeah.
So myself and my younger brother, Dan, we both got chicken pox, and for like a week or two, we're picking up scabs and doing the oatmeal bath and tomato sauce bath or whatever. Yeah. And then after that, we never got it again.
That was a thing back in the day. Is parents would just coordinate parties, just
right.
Get it.
Right. I think they did that. Now that you say that, I think they did that. We were overseas. We were living in England at the time.
Yeah, but that wasn't even that's not even like a hidden thing. That was like, I don't think parents tell their kids that's what they're doing. But yeah, no, that's like a known thing.
But what can chicken pox turn into when you're in your later years of life?
Sure. Yeah.
Shingles.
Yeah.
And that tears you up, man. And so they didn't know that.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
I think I had it when I was little too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the flip side is like, you can do this sort of, I mean, that's a copyrighted word you can't say, but devil's arithmetic. You literally got to do this like sort of cold calculations, at what point, but then you're right. And then you flip it. You go from my rant about, we got to run over the old lady. But then it's like you talking about her and it's like, here's a woman, there's a real person. Like, it's not just a number. Joseph Stalin said a death is a tragedy, a million is a statistic. But each one is still a thing. So you look at it and you're like, oh, that's just okay, some people are going to die. But then you forget, like, that's someone. That's your friend Bob.
Yeah.
Jan. They're getting it and they're suffering. And it's like,
and their whole family has it, by the way.
Yeah.
Because once one person gets it in a household, they're a homeschooling family like we are. I think they still have 4 kids at the house. All of them have it. Now, the youngest one, seems like she's asymptomatic, but she's been tested positive.
Yeah. And none of this matters when there's 10 million people protesting.
That's right.
None of it matters. None of this matters.
That's right.
Absolutely none of it matters.
Yeah.
They are now getting at Trump's rally. What was that one a couple weeks ago?
Oh, yeah. I just heard about
500 new cases. I'm sure you're right. I'm not denying that. I'm not going to say, that's fake news.
Yep.
You cannot get selectively mad at that one and then not get mad at everything else. If you have a bunch of people, if you have a clean foyer, you got a bunch of kids outside and it's raining and they're tracking in the mud and you're telling them all, you got to stand outside, wash yourself off with the hose, get it all. But then 1 out of 10 kids, it's like the owner's kid and, they get the special. You can come out and they come through and they track all the mud and it's
the coach's son.
Exactly. That's fine if that's what you want to decide we're going to do, but why are you making everyone else go through it? Because not only does it not matter that they wash themselves off, now they're coming in and they're stepping in the mud in the foyer. Now they're getting it. It's
right.
This is something where everyone has to be held to the same thing, or no one does. It doesn't.
That's the whole mask issue, isn't it?
Yeah. It doesn't
either matter. Just say we all have to wear masks in public for now, just all across the board. Everyone does it, proven that it works, or don't say you have to wear masks in public.
Yeah,
then just leave it the way it is. I mean,
nighttime raids. Think about World War II bombing. Think about World War II bombing raids, and he had to put blackout curtains on.
Yep.
This isn't something where like this isn't horseshoes or hand grenades where some is good. You got to do it all, or there's no purpose in doing any of it.
That's right.
So if you have 990 buildings in a city completely blacked out and doing it to a T perfectly, hiding into the inky ground seen from the sky, but you got 10 buildings of people just, whatever, man. There is no such thing as, we had a 99% blackout. That doesn't matter. There are lights. Drop the bombs. You drop the M36 incendiaries, and then you burn the whole thing down. None of it mattered because 10 of the 1,000 houses didn't want to put blackout curtains on.
Yeah.
That's what this is. And it's fine if we're going to choose that. That's fine.
Right.
But don't hold the other 99 or 990 houses to the blackout curtains if these 10 don't have to. If we're going to die from the incendiary bombings, let's at least have a party going out. Like,
If that's not a millennial point of view, I don't know what is, man. I love it. That's what all those kids were doing during spring break, those college kids. That's pretty much what they were saying.
It's fine. If we're going to do it, that's fine, but let's agree to it. Right? Let's agree to it. It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. If you have 100 people on a space shuttle and they each have their own little valve to the outside, it doesn't matter if 99 close it and one doesn't. Because you're just screwing everyone.
It sounds like when we go back to school, Tommy, if I remember correctly, with the phase that we're in, even at phase 3, I want to say every teacher, I think, has to have a temperature check every day when you come to the building. I can't recall off the top of my head if all the students have to do that, but imagine.
It doesn't matter now.
That's right.
It doesn't matter.
That's right. Meat packaging plants have been doing that for a while. They've been temperature checking all their employees as they come in, and if it's 104 or something like that, they're like, gone. You don't even come in. You go home. But how do you do that with teaching? Before I became a teacher, when I was working construction and I was working on getting my teaching degree, this is after I got out of the military, I became a substitute teacher because on the days I didn't have class, I thought, I could jump into the classroom, make $80 or whatever it was at the time. Great, no problem. I get them some real world experience that the college is never going to give me, and I'm going to get paid to do it. So that's what I did. But in today's world now, why would you want to become a substitute teacher? Now, people are going to do it. And we already have a shortage of substitute teachers anyways. But now, if it were me, I'm like, screw you. I am not going to become a substitute teacher to potentially put myself in the fire. Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense. So if I get sick, if I go down, who do I call? Not Ghostbusters.
Beat me to it.
I knew you were going to say that. I'm like, so you can't call anybody to cover you. What are they going to do? One thing that my school district did that I think was pretty innovative, though, they've already created. Now, mind you, they didn't tell the teachers about this yet. This was on their social media page that I never checked because we don't have to check, mind you.
Madness.
So I heard this from somebody else first before I went and checked it out. They created a virtual online academy. And not a lot of school districts across the country are doing anything like that. It's a lot of their plans are, all right, modified schedule, come 3 days a week, say 2 days at home, and you can work on your schoolwork then or something like that, right? Or just come back full time or whatever it is. So I think what my school district is doing, and again, I'm conjecturing. They haven't told us, but I think the reason they did this is they want to give parents and stakeholders an option. If they don't feel that their children will be safe and protected in the school system, they can just go ahead and sign up online from the online academy, which, well, what does that mean? Am I going to have a camera in my classroom now that's videotaping all my classes, which personally, I don't mind. They can do that even if it wasn't coronavirus. I think that's higher accountability, and maybe we can show some of these parents their knucklehead children aren't learning. But anyways, why is that what's going to have to happen now? I'm really going to have to put my stage face on and get going. And it's a show every day, which it kind of is anyways, but there you go. How are we going to do that? Yeah. And so if they're already saying put a virtual academy up, why not just go virtual anyways until there are some solid therapeutics, until there are some solid vaccines that have been circulated in the general population for a little while. It may mean this entire school year has to be done online again. Then let's just start it that way, like you're saying, right? Just do it all one way, either all in, all out, meaning online or something, instead of having this mixed bag of tricks that you're keeping us teachers totally confused. And then on top of that, I think they waived the requirement for the state testing for this upcoming school year. That I don't know if I can confirm that. I think that was part of President Trump's education summit this week. I heard him say that, but I didn't hear if it was for this upcoming school year. So here's how high schoolers think. All right, we don't have to take the state test. we're not being held accountable for that. I'm just going to come and just purely socialize for the semester in the classroom. If I learn something, fine. If not, who cares?
Yeah.
You watch. I'm telling you, Tommy, these teachers that are out there, these tree-hugging teachers that are out there saying, oh, I miss my students. I can't wait to see you're an idiot because you're not telling the truth. Really? I'd rather be home teaching from here and feel a lot more protected that way than go there and teach in person. It's the bottom line. Now, maybe I'm just the oddball. I'm the one out of all the public school teachers in America that feel that way, right?
Maybe COVID. Can you hear me when I'm sitting back?
Yeah, I'm good. Go for it.
Can you hear me better now?
Oh, yeah, much better there.
Gets better, yeah. Yeah, I love to sit back, but I can't because the microphone's got to be up. I need to get a boom so I can bring it back and forth.
There you go.
When you talk, I got to have it close to the screen.
Right.
Now I'm talking. Welcome to the nighttime radio show. Welcome.
After Hours with Tommy.
After Hours with Tommy. Hey, all you gals and gents out there, smoking a cigarette, putting on the red dress, listening to TBC After Hours. But I was thinking, man, maybe we just gotta. You just gotta. That's the wrong terminology. I was gonna say segregate society, but that's not.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. You're gonna be kicked off YouTube real quick now for sure.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
Take me off the air. See if I care. You dystopian commie. But maybe you just gotta have it. If you don't want to go to work, that's fine. You can receive an unemployment check. If you do want to go to work, you can. If you don't want to go to school, that's fine. If you do want to go to school, you can. Maybe we just let it happen, let the chips fall where they may, whatever happens. Go ask the girl out. If she says no, at least you know the answer is no now. Right. You don't want to go, you don't have to. But honestly, I think you just do it. Maybe I'll die. I'm not a healthy person, dude. I have the worst immune system of anyone I know. I seriously think I'm like half a gene from like an immunodeficiency. Seriously, for every time my 3 brothers would get sick, I would get sick 4 times for all of their one time. It's insane. So I'll probably be the first to die. But you know what? Why are we doing this? It's not gonna. What does it matter when like 400,000 people die a year in America just from smoking cigarettes and poor diet? Like, granted, that's a terrible analogy because that's voluntary. But I don't know, man. Maybe COVID's from Amazon. Because think about it. Everything's got to be delivered, man. Who's benefiting from this? Everything's got to be delivered. Maybe this is a training for. Remember how stupid I was a couple weeks ago when all the riots started, and I was like, "Let's try to look at the silver lining. What is the positivity in this?" And I was trying to be all, "Let's look for a cheery tomorrow." And my proposition was that all of these riots, though bad and for a good reason, what it's going to happen. I was like, in 2 weeks. Maybe we're going to see that coronavirus isn't as deadly as we thought, and that there is herd immunity, and that because of this, the silver lining will be that, the riots didn't end the world. We can all go back to work. And I was like, that's what's going to be. It's going to be a happy ending. And in reality, the only thing that happened was nothing happened because of those riots. A bunch of people got sick, and now everyone's just as, see, we got a social distance. And so nothing really happened from it. So I'm at this point where, I don't know, man. I don't really think there is an easy way out of this. Until there's a vaccine, I think you just got to go live. I don't think you should have to. I think if you want to go out and die, I think you're free to. Again, I'm not a medical professional. Everything I say is just bantering. Like I
heard Ben Shapiro watching one of his podcasts. He was talking about, basically people are pretty good risk assessors. Like if you give me the information, and this is the beautiful thing about being an American, the freedom to be able to decide for myself, do I want to take the risk?
Do I want to go skydiving? You might die. Most people don't.
Right. So this is the same situation. If I choose to go down in the public and I go to Lowe's hardware store, or if I go to the Walmart to go grocery shopping or whatever I need to do, I'm assessing the risk for myself based on hopefully the research that I've done that I think is reliable and primary sources, and I decide whether to do that or not. Now, believe me, if the government was going to pay my full salary to give me a choice, an option to not go to work as a teacher right now, I'm done. I'm done. Where's the paperwork? What hoops do I jump through? What red tape do I need to cut through? Pay me my full salary as a teacher right now to not go because of COVID. I'm done. Give it to somebody else, but pay me. But I have the motivation to go do something else that I'm more interested in, even for a future, job, career, whatever, education. I'm not going to be lazy and just mooch off of it the whole time.
Yeah.
I got plans.
You can see there's another great illustrator of the shift or the difference in mindset between people. Just like COVID illustrated the mathematical exponential growth of STDs. It's also, I think it's illuminating the core differences in some people.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people like, can you believe people are rioting to go back to work? Like, here we are, we get to sit at home and get free paychecks. And it's like, did you ever think that maybe it's not, I'm rioting so I can go back to my 9 to 5, but that some people do derive value from working hard, working towards goals? That's what makes them feel good. That's what's good for their mental health and thus their physical health. I think you're seeing a core difference. Some people are like, give me this check forever. And that's cool. There are a lot of people that don't exist in that. Why does Elon Musk want to go back to work? That's because that mindset, it's not that I have to go, it's that I want to go. That's what pushes the world forward. That's why you get planes. That's why you get microwaves. That's why you put a man on the moon. That's why you discover penicillin. That's why you can shoot a rover at the red planet and land it and then drive around and take samples and send back selfies. This stuff happens not because, well, I'm just okay with me getting my check in the mail. No, that's fine. That's not how you get Tom Brady's and Maseratis and Van Goghs. Everyone that lives like that, that's fine. Those are the reasons you never hear about their names in history, is because they're a bunch of nobodies that die and go back, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. And they really don't make a shit or a dent in society. And that's fine. But if you want to be a Galileo or a Da Vinci or a goddamn Harry Truman or a JFK or a LeBron James or a Wayne Gretzky, you go out and you go do this shit. Steve Jobs didn't have to. He could stop when he got his first billion. Why does Jeff Bezos need 150 billion? Did you ever think that it's not that he needs 150 billion, but he's just a hustler who he builds the next thing and then the next thing and then the next thing? Is because these are the people that drive the world forward. So all you lazy fat fucks that are okay with sitting at home, that's fine. But for everyone else that wants to go out and get it, get the fuck out of our ways.
Right.
Excuse me.
Well, a little pent up anger there. Yeah, feel better? Yeah. 150 heart rate right now. 150. Tommy.
Excuse me, Dave.
Right, and think about it. That mindset is a Democratic left-wing mindset that is blowing up in their faces left and right, because that's their whole ticket. Hey, welfare system. Hey,
I know what you're saying. I don't even want to politicize it though, because I have plenty of left-wing friends that are lawyers and accountants and very good at what they do, and I can't point a finger at them. They make their money. They're hustlers. So I don't even want to bring it into I agree with what you're saying, but I don't even want to track. I also have right-wing friends that are they're lazy as shit. So I don't even want to pull that into here. Sure. There's just a difference in people. And I'm not saying that everyone should have to do one or the other. If you want to stay home and you are terrified of catching COVID and giving it to your grandma, I get that. You shouldn't have to go out. That's fine. I get it. I'm completely down for that. I'm cool with them getting a check. I get it. But for everyone else that wants to go live your life, it's fine. I don't think you should have to wear a life jacket when you're jumping in the ocean. You might drown. You might get eaten by a shark. You might have a great day.
That's right. I wonder how many teachers would jump at the bait, if you will, bite that bait. If the government said, for a year, for this next school year, we'll pay your full salary, and you don't have to go and teach them because you feel that you're not going to be protected or because of COVID or whatever, you know what I mean? Because of COVID, essentially, if that's the main driving force there, I wonder how many teachers go, sign me up right now.
Yeah.
That's why they're not doing it. Yeah. That's why they're not going to provide that to teachers, because they need us to go back into the classrooms, bring the kids in so people can go back to work. you were talking earlier about how this whole situation, and I know you've talked to other folks about it on your podcast and you've thought about it. Man, it really has enlightened so many of us to the core values that we each individually believe in, and even collectively as a society. And I did not realize, as educated as I think I am, which is not to say much, I really didn't grasp how deep and entwined the roots are between business, the economy, and public education. One goes down, they both go down. And it doesn't matter which one goes down first. If public school goes down, so there's no kids going to school, that means parents and families can't go to work. The economy goes down. If the economy goes down, then parents are out of work, but they're not going to keep sending the kids to school because we need some money being generated somewhere to keep funding and paying for the buildings and the teachers and, all that stuff. They're so interconnected. I think maybe we're beyond the point in our society, that you can't separate those two. And I wish you could. I'll be honest with you, because I see it as a big monopoly.
Yeah,
I see the public school as a huge monopoly that the government won't go in and break it up so there's better competition, therefore providing better schools. I mean, isn't that that's kind of the heart of capitalism, I suppose?
Yeah.
But man.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much they're intertwined. You can't separate the two. And that's kind of scary to me in one sense too.
I don't think it's escapable. I think society. Yeah. I think global society is a hyper interconnected organism. I mean, it's like the body. Sure. Take this drug. Well, this raised your cholesterol. Well, just take this drug. Well, what's that one do? Well, that one lowers your PGY7 enzyme. Well, what does that do? Well, that means you're maybe not going to see as well. But if you take lycopene, you'll be able to. Have you ever noticed that with the human body, there's no such thing as just the perfect. No, everything has a push and a pull, and you find the balance of what you are okay with. But I don't know, man. The fact that right now I can get in my car, I could go get McDonald's.
Yep.
I could go pick up a bottle of grain alcohol. I could go pick up a pack of cigarettes. I can go do all this and then come home and just eat and drink myself to death. But you can't go do other shit. To me, it just seems insane. And I get the counter argument because those are all things that harm you and only you and no one around you. Touche. Point. Counterpoint. Why are you allowed to protest? Why are you choose one or the other? Personally, and whenever I say that, people are like, "Oh, so you're not for protests?" No, I'm completely for protests. I don't think they should be told to go home. I think everyone should allow to come out and go to work. Just call going to work a protest.
No kidding.
Yeah, man, I'm going to work. Protest. What are we getting this? Do you want to get 18 more minutes? You cool with that?
I can do that. Yeah, I can do that.
You can do 18.
Yeah.
Do 18? Yeah. You're not gonna flake out on me. You're not gonna pull Dan.
I'm good. I'm good to go. Good to go. Hey, maybe switch topics here a little bit if you don't mind.
That's what I was about to do.
Yeah. Did you have something in mind? Because I have something in mind.
Oh, what do you have in mind?
Well, going back to the homesteading thing. What's interesting is some of the connections I made with some of my neighbors in the area. And, this has nothing to do with your theology, for example. This really just has something to do with getting to know your neighbors, respecting your elders. Again, you could have learned that from church. You could have learned that from public school, I suppose. You could have learned it from your parents. I probably learned it from all the above at some point or another in my life. Got an older gentleman and his wife that live not too far from our farm. And got to know him a little bit, and he has extended family members that own their own wood mill. So I had this beautiful cherry tree in my front yard, and I've been looking at it, and it's been bothering me because it's right in the way where you would back up your car to turn around and leave my house down my driveway. And it's right there. So it's kind of this visible barrier, and you think you're going to back into it all the time. So I'm like, I want to cut this thing down. So this old guy, he's got to be in his 80s or something, man. He comes over. He's got one of the longest chainsaws I've ever seen in my life. And he just, he gets in there. He just, like, oh, crap. He just cut down my cherry wood tree. Beautiful cherry wood tree. We chopped it up into reasonable sized logs. Okay. And then he bought this, it's called a come along, the weirdest name I've ever heard, this chain ratchet thing, to pull up in his old beat up pickup truck. And me, my two sons, my younger son, this thing probably weighed close to 1,000 pounds. And we're just, we're cranking on it. We get it in the back of his truck. We get the other log in the back of his truck. This was a couple weeks ago. Took it over to his extended family. They milled it for us for free. I mean, he didn't even let me pay for the gas for his saw or his gas for his gas tank to drive it an hour or two away and back. He wouldn't let me pay for anything. And we just, right before this podcast, he brought the planks of wood back to the house, beautiful cherry wood with the live edge, so it still has the tree bark on it. And
nice.
I set it up in my shop, and it's going to dry. So maybe by next spring, I'm going to be able to actually start building some things with it. And I can't wait. I mean, here's a tree in my own property cut down. Why? Because I can. It's my property. It's milled. I had a friend who'd mill it for us. It's milled. It's back. No charge. And I'm kind of an amateur woodworker, so I'm going to build some stuff out of it. And I'm going, you know what? I wish more people had this, honestly. I wish more people in the cities had this, because we've been so busy out here on the farm. Me being home is all I've been able to do, besides finish the school year, last school year online, was basically get more chores done.
Yeah.
Around the farm. In fact, it's either going to be today or tomorrow. We get our next set of meat birds coming in. We're getting ready to slaughter some of our meat chickens. We'll have those put up here probably next week. Then the new ones will be ready to put outside on pasture, and they'll be good for 2 months before we slaughter those. And the next batch will show up. And we just we got the garden going. We've been eating fresh fruit and vegetables, eggs,
Yeah, but I think that's that's just like another little philosophical lesson, is whether it's COVID or whether it's retirement. Like, man,
right.
People don't understand that, some people just derive value, personal value, and inner tranquility from, man, if I wake up in the morning and I just play video games, I don't enjoy it, because I'm I should be doing something else. Even if there's no one standing over my shoulder, I'm just so after a long day of calling, emailing, trying to get guests on, getting repeatedly turned down, but exercising, laundry, dishes, dieting, meditating, after all of it, and so right now it's almost 4 p.m. my time. Yeah. After this, I'll put this down. I'll produce it. I'll spice up some things. I'll upload it to all the different stuff. It'll take a couple hours. Go eat dinner, and then a couple hours, I'm gonna put my feet up and I'm gonna play some video games. And that same video game, no different, not a different TV. The volume's not different. It's not a different game. It's the same game. But after a long day of self-subjective work, self-inflicted, routinized labor, I play that same thing and I feel great at the end of the day.
Sure.
And that's just how a lot of people exist. Is they don't want to finish a thing. You retire from the NFL, oh, you got all the money in the world, you don't have to do anything. That's why you see these guys pick up a violin, pick up breeding, I don't know, horses. You do something. You got to do something, because, and I think that's again what it is why do these people want to go back to work? We're getting free checks, and it's they're comparing it to the kid that raises the hand and tells the substitute teacher, oh, you forgot to assign us homework. Yeah, no, that kid sucks, and that's not what this is. That kid sucks. All right.
Nobody does that. No kid does that. I've never had a student do that.
Well, I have. And it was granted it was in 5th grade, but I still remember him. I won't say his name. I know who you are. But that kid sucks, Or the substitute teacher doesn't know the schedule, and they're like, "You guys get out for recess right now," and it's 10 minutes before, and you're like, "Yep." And that really, and it's that kid sucks. Beat that kid up. Bullying's okay. But this isn't that. This is, why do you want to go to work, man? It's forgetting everything. We're just sitting at home, dude. That's why people achieve greatness, man, is because they're not just doing what they have to do. That's That's where they grow from. That's where and it's, so to me, that's when it comes back to like weighing COVID versus everything else is like, it's not just like, oh no, you can't go back to work. Like, stop being so selfish. People are dying. No, man, like you're robbing people of their own mental health.
There's a pride there. There's a good kind of pride.
There
You
is.
take pride in the work of your hands.
Yes.
You've got to stimulate your brain,
Yeah.
right? I mean, by going to work, you're stimulating your brain. You're working that brain muscle all the time. I want it to grow. I don't want it to turn into mush.
I mean, dude, Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, what did he say? He said enlightenment is not the end. What do you do before enlightenment? You chop wood and carry water. What do you do after you've attained enlightenment, oh divine teacher? You chop wood and you carry water. And if that's not for you, that's fine. I'm not saying everyone's got to be a hustler and work hard. Man, I wish that's not where I got value from. I wish I was cool just putting my feet up and sleeping. That seems, like living on island time. Like, I get it, man. That's awesome. If that's what you want to do, go do it. But like, I'm lucky in that I have this podcast because I can still get my work fix in every day. I listen to audiobooks right now. I'm listening to a history of the war in the Pacific and Lady Gulf and Palilo, and it's just insane. I can get all of that, like, I can get in my fix.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, man. I don't think
well, I've taken your advice. I've taken your advice, by the way. So, you got
a podcast?
Well, I've interviewed one person already. I'm stuck on a title. See, it's not as easy as you think. I'm just going the David Libby Show. Oh yeah.
Why?
You know
why? Why not?
Well, I agree, but my point here, my brain is going, well, that doesn't sound good. Well, of course it doesn't sound good because it's not famous like the other people that basically do their first and last name and say
Zeppelin, Joe Rogan Experience. Those don't mean anything until they mean something.
Darn.
Michael Jordan isn't necessarily a great sounding name, but it's Michael Jordan.
Right.
Tom Brady, two pretty average names, if I say so myself as a Tom. But Tom, you're Tom Brady. Yeah, you got to make it, man. Yeah. The name only means Apple. Apple, it's an apple. Adam and Eve. If anything, it's a bad thing. But what's Apple? It's Apple. It's Apple.
That's right. That's right.
It's Apple. It's
right.
It's got to become some. God, you got to eat more. But
so you can see. I built a little background here, just a sheet, and it's a PVC frame, just to put. And I'm actually in my bathroom because it's in the back of the house. We have a large bathroom suite.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's up on the jet tub, basically.
Yeah.
And so it's just up. And so, I've done some interviews and stuff with people in the past. I used to have I don't know if I'd call it a podcast, but it's similar to a podcast. It was only audio at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't the video deal. And I would interview business owners that basically small business owners just to see how did they do things? How did they get their businesses going? So I remember doing that. And it kind of reminded me of doing that. And it reminded me of diversifying my income streams. So my wife teaches online. Even though she has her degree, she teaches online for VIP kids. And China it's teaching Chinese kids how to speak English. They go through a whole program on their side first before they get to these teachers. And then they just kind of teach them the curriculum that the Chinese government provides, essentially. Mm-hmm. And they're learning and becoming more proficient in speaking English.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because of the relationship between the U.S. and China, veteran VIP teachers are starting to lose business because the communist government is saying, oh, parents, you need to try some of these newer teachers, and kind of by doing that, they're pulling away that kind of residual income stream, right, for VIP teachers that have been veterans like my wife, giving it to new ones, and they pay the new ones less than the veteran ones anyways. So that's what the Chinese government is doing. So my wife was looking for other online teaching jobs, found this one with OutSchool. You don't even need a degree for OutSchool, which depending on the subject, in my opinion, but okay, you don't need a degree, and you can create your own curriculum. And so I've taught for the last 2 weeks a mini camp on how to play a card game for students, man. And let me tell you, these kids go nuts. They love it. And if I can build up enough of repertoire that way to replace, obviously, my public school teaching, that would allow me to stay home and teach on my hours, because I can teach at different hours that way. And these kids come from all around the world, actually. I got a kid, his mom was emailing me from the UK. I can't wait. My son can't wait for your class, and get it. They're like a day or ahead or behind or whatever it is, you know.
Right.
But, you know, things like that. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. But, you know, we're just trying some things here at the house.
You gotta just start, man.
Yeah.
I wish I had started this. I remember the first time I thought about doing a podcast, 2015, and I wish I had. But I kept thinking that for years. Oh man, I wish I had started. Imagine where I'd be. And finally, last December, I was like, why don't I just do it? So in 6 months, I can say, hey, look where I am. Now look where I don't even know what I was doing, man. When I first started, it was just like, I didn't know I didn't know anything about like dead air time. So sometimes I would just be sitting there like scrolling through my phone. Like, you can't do that. But dude, you gotta just
Keep it going, man.
It's just you gotta learn while you're doing it. You know, you can read the theory on basketball 20 years. But until you're getting out there dribbling, feeling like an idiot because the ball hit your shoe and went out of bounds, and before you know, unless you're like catching elbows from friends to the gut and sweating and getting stitches and cramps, none of that theory matters. And else you're like, oh, okay, all right, you got to go learn. Yeah. So dude, you just got to start and just literally you just got to start and just start doing it, and don't listen to what anyone says, because everyone has their 2 cents on how it should be done.
Oh, sure.
And I think there's a quote from Joe Rogan I remember hearing back in like 2014, and I ironically made like a little joke to myself. I was like, all right, if I ever start a podcast, I'll make sure to listen to that. Now I do. It's, if you stop for every barking dog, you'll never get where you're going. That's right. Like if you're going for a run. That's right. Anyone that's like, you shouldn't do that, or you're doing your podcast in your bathroom. It's shut up. It's just shut up.
If I don't say it, they'll never know because they can't see it. So
and it doesn't matter if you say, who cares, dude? There are podcasts. People start in garages all the time. They don't have those sound suppression things. They put egg cartons on the wall. Who cares, man?
I think Nick Phelps, he's in his garage every time. It seems like you interview him.
I don't know where he is, and it doesn't matter. It's great. It's great. It doesn't matter. If you don't like it, that's fine. Stop listening. No one's making you listen. That's a beautiful thing. We're not ending this podcast until we figure out a name for your podcast. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't have to be the set name. You can change it. Who cares? If that's the thing holding you back, then no, that is not okay.
Yeah.
David Levy, DL. On the DL?
I'm not on the designated injured list, but the
DL. I was going to say, the DL on the down low.
Yeah.
Keep it on the DL.
See, you're a little bit more hip than I am. I know.
Just say keep it on the DL, dude. David Levy.
That's not bad. Not bad.
Keep it on the DL. Welcome back. I hope you all are keeping it on the DL. Welcome to the David Levy Night Show. Just like that, man. Doesn't matter what the name is. You just got to hit it with confidence. You could call it anything. You could call it the applesauce socks. But it doesn't matter, man. You have on Led Zeppelin, and you're like, in today, episode 174, welcome to applesauce socks. Doesn't matter, man. Own it.
I like it. Keep it tuned in to the DL show.
Yeah. Tune into the DL. Oh yeah,
keep it on the DL.
David Levy, David homesteading.
Well, my thing is though, I kind of like what you do too, where you
homecasting, podcast.
You talk about a bunch of different things. So far, I have not been able to find a pattern with you as far as you really like to talk about, say, political things or religious things or finance things, or you just covered the whole spectrum. I kind of like that idea too, where it's kind of open like that. But I like doing some research. For example, some homeschooling articles came out recently, and in Boston, there was a professor at Harvard that wrote this really scathing law review out of Arizona. It came out in an Arizona one, and she was just slamming people that homeschool. I mean, slamming them, okay? It's horrible. And her research was terrible, right? And so you've got all these big followers. So the first person I interviewed, homeschool student who went to college, didn't go to high school, went to college on scholarship, graduated this year, went to South Korea for about 3 semesters on scholarship as part of an international study, a study abroad during her time in college, I guess. And coming back, and she's got some wonderful stories to tell about what she did right, what she did wrong, what you should do better. If any other parent is talking to their kid or any other college students thinking about doing this, pretty amazing. It's a part 1 because, I mean, we didn't even get through it all, and we're going to have to come back for a part 2 and keep talking about it. I just thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You know, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, at least for me, I can only speak for myself, but when you limit it to one topic, I feel like
Right.
you can
I think you limit yourself.
You can kill it. At least for me, you can kill it. If I only had on, like, you come on, we talk about the F-117. I love it. If I only talked about or if I only talked about planes, man, I could probably get like a good 10, 20 episodes. I would then just start to hate it. I just wouldn't do it. I would, if someone asked me, hey man, will you do it? I'd be like, sure. If the guest came to me, but no, man, you gotta stay open about it because you can't eat the same thing for every single meal. Like you gotta switch it up. Yeah, man. But just start and just where'd you upload it? Have you uploaded it?
I haven't uploaded it yet. I've got it, and I'm in that process of I've got to convert it, kind of like, you know, when you did your podcast about how to make the podcast.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So I have a program on my other laptop called Camtasia that will balance the sound out and all this other stuff. And so I've got to run it through there, and then I was only planning on uploading it to YouTube. We already have a YouTube channel. It's called the Maplewood Homestead. That's the name of our farm.
Mm-hmm.
And so I may just go ahead and upload it there since we already have it.
Yeah.
You know, and start generating maybe interest that way, realizing that not all of the shows are just purely homesteading videos, but
it's not a bad name for a podcast.
Maplewood
Homestead. That's awesome. Go with that. I think that's great. The Maplewood Homestead.
MP, baby.
Yeah, MP, baby. Yeah.
Something. Oh, we'll figure it out. Maplewood Homestead.
Just start.
Yeah. So we already got that part's set up. So now it's a matter of uploading content. And I tell you what, my kids are so innovative because they watch these other shows on YouTube of gamers, I guess, that they do the screen capture. Some of it drives me nuts. It's so stupid. Okay.
I hate gaming channels, man.
But my kids,
give credit where credit's due, man. These kids are in their teens and they're buying houses with cash. Like, hey, man. Right. Hey,
so respect. My kids play Roadblocks. They play Minecraft, for example. I'll hear them when I come into the house. Be quiet. So is making a video. You know, one of my kids is on the computer making a video, and I can hear him talk. I'm like, whoa, you can do it. And they've been uploading it. They got like 3 followers.
Yeah, who cares?
You know what I mean? It's awesome. I'm like, wait a minute, they can do it? No excuse now, for sure.
Dude, that's how I always looked at it. I was like, I don't know how to make a podcast. And then I finally uploaded one episode, and I was like, what? That's it? you admit it's hard to screw up. Like, you gotta. What I was gonna say to you is don't. I wouldn't. If you want to upload to that channel, upload it to that channel. But don't look at it as you already have it. It takes 30 seconds to make a new account. So unless that's the one you want.
Yeah. But the only reason I say we have it is because I have somewhere to put it right now.
Uh-huh.
And if I'm okay with the name, for example, I can just leave it that way. You know what I'm saying?
I think you can only change the name so many times, though.
Yeah.
So,
I'll keep working on it. Man. If you have some ideas later, text me.
Absolutely, dude.
Text me.
Just do it.
Cool.
Do it.
That'd be cool.
And
because I think I'm going to have some interesting stories, Tommy, when I start back to work full time as a teacher.
Absolutely.
Man, it's going to be a cluster. I'm telling you. You know when I say that.
Yeah.
Military people, when we say cluster, we know what comes next.
Yeah. It's man. And that's the other thing I was going to say is if you're looking at it, or this isn't just for you, but anyone listening thinking about a podcast, if you're looking at it like, don't think, I don't have enough material. Like, dude, when I started this podcast, I knew I had like a couple people that had funny stories. I had enough for maybe like 3 episodes. It's not like I was like, I know what I'm going to do for 133 episodes. Dude, you just start it and you just kind of figure it out as you go, you know? You just kind of figure it out. You don't really know what you're doing. You're like, yeah.
You feel the pressure now where you have to come up with a new show every day, minus the days you take off for your own personal time?
Do I feel pressure?
Yeah, meaning do you feel like it has to be a daily show where you have to have someone in the pipeline Monday through Friday, whatever it is?
I try to figure out like the next week. I try
Yeah.
to keep it like loose, but I don't look farther than a week.
Okay.
I mean, I give people I'm like, if you want,
Yeah.
you can tell me, hey, let's do one in August. All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
No, I don't at all. And it's because I keep it so loose and relaxed. And, you know, for new guests take a little more out of me. Not in a bad way, but it's like, I don't know them. You kind of got to feel them out. What story are we talking about? What thing do you do? And the first episode is always like, it's like the first date, right? And then it starts to flow after that.
Yeah.
Then they get easier the more times you have them on. And it's like you, where it's like, what are we talking about? We're talking about the F-117 or COVID. I don't care. Like, let's just let it happen. You get better at that. And I also have on like my older brothers, like deceased older brothers, but like his two best friends, JP and Rob. One of the Rob's the tall guy from Canada. JP's is Phelps's friend. He's the drone operator.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they were both like my brother's best friends. They come on all the time, and I like having them on because it's like I try to switch. I used to just only have friends on, and then I was like, I want serious podcasts for all of them. I always want a new guest, but I realized that was draining. So now, like on Saturday or tomorrow, Saturday, Tuesday, and Thursday are all guests that are going to be brand new guests. But
good.
In between, I make sure I have friends on because there's the new guest where it's like, got to be ready. I don't know what we're doing. You got to feel them out. What topics are we talking about? But then I have another guest like you where I can just put my feet up and go on a rant and yell at people.
You'll let me eat while we're interviewing.
Exactly. Yeah. You got to kind of find the balance. Pressure to do it? No, man. This comes back to just work. This is what I do, man. If I'm not doing this, I'm going to do something else. So, yeah, I've had people tell me, dude, you crank out episodes. I'm like, man, this is just what I have to do something, man. I have to do. There are days that I'm very tired, but I hate when people cancel on me with no heads up.
Sure.
Like, I don't mind if people have to cancel.
Sure.
Life happens. But I personally have I really don't like to cancel on people. So even on days I don't want to do it, I'm just like, just psych yourself up. Just psych yourself up. Let's do it. And you get better and better and better at it. I would like to think I'm getting better at it, but you kind of learn, I don't know, like the whole conversation. It's less of like this thing that's happening all at once, and it's more like, I don't know, you're almost on like a kayak in the river. You kind of just like lean different ways and see where it goes. And if you want, you can bring it into the rapids and start screaming about COVID. And then you can gently bring it to the shore like we're doing right now, into the podcast. Right. What are you doing? You can do whatever you want. If you want, you can just flip it. And, you flip the boat and say stupid shit like I did earlier. Segregation. Like, oh, that's the wrong word. Didn't mean that one. Yeah, it's
Well, I hear, dude, it's been the last 2 days have been some of the hottest as far as the heat index is concerned out here in Western Tennessee. And yet I still have a honeydew list. That's a nice way to say chores and work that requires ditch digging. I got more ditch digging to do.
I've never heard that before. Honeydew list.
What's that?
I never heard the term honeydew list.
Oh, when you're married, see, you got to be married.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, honeydew. Yeah.
Well, this includes, we got 4-inch pipe I got to dig down to replace. I got to put some clean outs in. I got to do drainage ditches. It just, it's work. And let me tell you this, my 14-year-old son and 10-year-old son, or 11-year-old son, that's it. They're learning how to dig ditches. Let me tell you, I'm learning how to supervise, and it's a lot of fun. Let me tell you.
Yeah, dude. Build them up to be your little army. Yeah, man. You gotta.
Oh, dude. I don't have time for this now. This could be.
But
Yeah, go.
I have all the time in the world, man. I threw out a time earlier because I wasn't sure if you had to go. I'm not. After this, I got a hot pocket to heat up, and I got some video games to play.
Okay.
I have nothing to it, man. I don't care.
Well, some exciting news on the homestead just yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I get a phone call from my buddy that is he's with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Okay, so he's a law enforcement, and he gives me a call and says, get everybody in the house, lock your doors, arm up, because we just had a shooting not too far from our homestead, and they're chasing this guy through the woods and maybe coming your way. So, cool. And of course, being who I am, I said, do you need me to come out and help you chase him down? I'm like, pretty much. I'm looking at the guns. Yeah, they're already loaded. So
welcome to God's country.
So my wife is in the back pasture working in the garden. I send my 14-year-old son running down there to get her to come in the house. And here's what he's saying to my wife. An emergency. It's an emergency. It's emergency. And she thinks I'm having a heart attack. That's the emergency she's thinking, right? Heart attack. So she comes running in. What's going on? You're okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm okay, but you need to come in because there's a shoot. Actually, the guy actually shot someone, and I think he killed someone.
Damn.
And I don't have all the details, but it may come out here in the paper here real soon. But it probably was a couple hours later. These guys did a really good job. They only took them about 2 hours to find the guy. And we're talking wooded areas. You know, we're talking miniature manhunt going on not too far from our farm. But yeah, man, I had the kids looking out a window with the binoculars, scanning the tree lines. I got the gun here. I got the axe over here. Yeah. I got the 22 pistol on my hip. You know, we got all kinds of things going on.
Go up and
it was great. It was fun.
Shoulder. You're like, bathroom break.
Yeah,
man.
Then my wife had the gall to say, you can't shoot him, sweetheart, unless there's going to be some mortal danger against you or us. I'm like, if he sets foot on my property and the police are chasing him, I'm thinking I'll wing him a little bit, you know, maybe take out a kneecap or something.
Screw but that, this guy had one between the eyes. You got kids. Doesn't even matter. You got little kids. You have your property, and it's you. And here's a man being chased by law enforcement because he shot someone.
Yeah. I'm thinking.
Throw his brains out from 100 yards.
Right.
Shoot him in the foot, my ass.
Yeah.
Take him out. You stand your ground.
Right. That's what I was gonna do. I'm like, no. He's here.
There's a reason why there was no warning shot with Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You end it, and you end it now. But
that's right.
But no, when you do a Pearl Harbor, you don't hold back. You go bring the fear of God into these people, and you vaporize the city. And now the war is over. That's it.
My son has a 410 shotgun, single barrel, and he goes, Dad, should I use the buckshot or should I use the slug?
Hell yeah.
Let's go with buckshot in case you're a little nervous or what, you know.
raising good Americans, David Libby. That's what we need.
I know. Here's all these people. They're like, oh, they're going to protest you now because he's got gun-fearing, faith-fearing American men.
Come at me. Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. Seriously, man.
Why you don't see the rioters out here right now?
When you have half the country armed to the teeth and well trained, and then the other half can't decide what gender they are. Yeah, tell me which way it goes in a fight. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, we
you
just
didn't
thought.
Call me a he. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, sir. You know. Yeah, man. We are not descendants of fearful men. You gotta grab your balls. Be proud of who you are.
Anyway. So stuff happens, right? I mean, that's
you said they caught him though.
They did. It was about 2 hours later or so, and my buddy called me back and says, "Okay, all clear, back to business as normal." And I'm looking around thinking, well, business is pretty normal.
Yeah,
that's kind of what we're ready for, just in case,
Can you get man? If I were you, I would try to get some through back channels. Try to get a 50 cal or something. Mount that puppy on my chimney. Crawl up there. That's your armored tube going up.
Daniel used to have one.
Man, you get a World War II ball, like the ball on the bottom of the.
No. Daniel used to have a 50 cal.
Daniel did.
Daniel used to have a 50 cal, and every time I bring it up, I just want to slap him in the back of the head because eventually he traded that 50 cal for a bunch of other weapons. You know what I mean?
It was idiot.
Well, I know, and I'm going. He said he came out one time when he was stationed somewhere else, and he came out to Tennessee to our cousin's place, and they set up I don't know, at least 1,000 yards away or more, whatever. And they set up this target, thick target or whatever. And then behind that target was a tree line and stuff like that. He said he shot one time, man, that thing didn't even slow it down. It went right through this target into the tree line. We're hoping it didn't hit a neighbor. We haven't received any phone calls yet or anything, by the way. But he did that, and I'm going, dude, if I got a 50 cal, I would have it, okay? I've got a sniper's nest in the I'm not going to tell you where, in the back 40, that'd be perfect for a 50 cal right now.
Perfect. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
50 cal. I want to get one of those balls that has like the 4 barrels, 4 automatics. Get one of those. You ever seen the Anzio 20 millimeter sniper?
I don't think so.
You need to Google that, ANZIO. This thing makes a Barrett 50 cal look like a pea shooter. It's an anti-tank rifle.
Nice.
Anti-tank rifle. And they have a civilian version for the United States. You can buy it. I think it's like $40,000, but you can buy it.
Yeah, I have to take out an extra line of credit on the house, but yeah, no problem.
Man. Who's going to come collect that credit when you got the Anzio?
Knock, knock. Buddy.
Hey, man, that's like the argument of like, dude, no one's ever going to collect the U.S.'s debt. What are you going to do? Come to our shores? We need the $20 trillion. Good luck.
It'll start a war, though. You watch.
It will.
It'll start a war, but you're right.
Well, it doesn't matter. We bought $20 trillion worth of war.
That's right. All right, buddy. I got to get going, man.
All right, man. I'm hungry. David Libby, podcast 133. Everyone, the stuff's available on YouTube, BitChute, Spotify, Veo, and other stuff. And remember, we are not medical professionals. Don't take any of my advice. And if you heed my psychopathic rants, that's on you, not me. This podcast is entertainment, Your Honor. All right, man.
Thanks, Tommy.
Take it easy,
care,
buddy. Peace.
Bye-bye.